Oh, it's you again. Welcome back. Hey, sister. Nice body.
Oh, hi, I'm Marc. I've been a professional artist for 100 years and now I teach art for a living. This episode of my world-famous series for artists I call YouTube Art School will be all about the female body. How to draw it, specifically. I'll share with you 2 ways to draw it at different levels of stylization or 2 levels of complexity. Perfect if you're just starting or if you're more experienced. Epic. Quickly, let's get this class started. Alright, class is in session. Pay attention. And before we begin, pay the class fee of either 1 like or 1 sub. It's very affordable and I guarantee the value, or I'll give you your money back. Now then, today I'll be showing you how to draw the female body, but there are thousands of ways. These are just 2 of my favorite recipes that I use. I use the simpler, more stylized version for quick characters or characters that will be seen like small on the canvas, and then the more complex version the rest of the time. Anyways, this should be something for everyone here. The more stylized way is way simpler, so give that one a go if you're not super experienced, and maybe try the other recipe that I'll show if you feel more confident in your character drawing skills. Alright, please, enough talking. Let's start drawing. So, starting at the first level, at maximum stylization. To draw any kind of character, we'll always want to start with a simple mannequin. A simple construction before the final result. Simple shapes that anyone can draw. Nothing complicated. Yet. So, starting with the head, I'm just going to simplify it as an inverted egg shape, but you could also use a box if that's easier to visualize. Both shapes make for great heads. We start with the head because it's the first unit of measurement that we need, given that most of my characters are going to be around 7 to 8 heads tall. This gives me the full height for the body, which I can then cut in half to find the crotch. Very important. We're trying to sort out the main proportions first to make sure the rest is built on a solid foundation. The neck first, something like a third of a head long-ish seen from the front, and a half a head long seen from behind. Then we'll work on the biggest piece of this particular puzzle, the torso shape. Essentially, I'll be drawing a deformed hourglass shape with a longer top section, or 2 pentagons where the top one will be a little taller and narrower. That might actually be a more accurate way to describe the shapes. Anyways, keep in mind that I'm aiming for an ideal body type here, what I consider ideal, like a superhero. If you prefer your characters chunkier, you can adjust the shape this way. Everything else will still work relatively the same. From there, let's add the main joints for the limbs. Some smaller ellipses for the shoulders, some bigger balls for the legs, making sure that we use the whole width available here. Pay attention to where those joints are positioned in relation to the torso shape. It's important. From here though, very simple. Use more spheres for the elbows, lined up with the waist here, the narrower section of the torso, and more spheres for the wrists, lined up with the bottom of the torso shape. Let's add some hands and connect the edges of all those spheres and, well, the arms are done. Moving down to the legs, we can also add spheres right in the middle of the distance we have left there to represent the knees. Draw more spheres for the ankles, the feet, and, well, all we have left is to connect the dots and complete the silhouette. For the chest, I'll just draw 2 ellipses right down the middle of the upper torso pentagon shape, slightly tilted towards the neck. And, well, that wraps up the first mannequin, but obviously we're not quite done here, are we? Let's erase all the construction lines that we don't need anymore, and we should quickly be left with a nice female figure. Relatively quickly. And the back view for this version will be very similar too. I can just duplicate everything I have so far, erase her chest because that doesn't grow in the back, and give her a simple bottom instead, and ship it. It's not the most anatomically accurate female body there is, but it's very convincing for a stylized version of it. Also, it's quick. Like I said, when I don't need to have a super accurate character, this is what I'm going to use. If you're looking to get a really solid understanding of the human body though, more than what I can cover in a quick 10-minute YouTube video, consider checking out my popular art program, for which, by the way, you can find a coupon down in the video description for a big discount. It's the summer special. The program covers far more than the human anatomy too. It's a complete art education program, similar in content to what you'd find at the best university art programs. Actually, no, it's way better. Check the link below to learn more and see why we're closing in on 11,000 students. The new discount will be valid until the end of the month only. Don't miss out. Plug over. Anyways, from here, let's move on to the more detailed version, the more realistic version of the female body. If you think you can handle it, that is. The main difference, aside from the extra realism, is really that we'll be playing with volumes instead of 2D shapes like in the first version. You'll see what I mean in a minute. To start though, it should be very familiar, quite similar to what I did for the stylized body when it comes to the proportions and the shape of the head. As we get to the torso, however, it's a different story. This time it's basically just going to be a big elongated sphere occupying about half the space left above the crotch. Then I take a slice off at the bottom to make it look closer to real ribcage, which is obviously what it represents. The next most important part is going to be the hips. A problem area for many. It's a blockier shape in real life, so I like to simplify it as a box here as well, where the front face is slightly narrower than the back face. For males, I'll just keep it as a square, but for females, I shave off the bottom corners to get this shape here. Similar-ish to the pentagon shapes that we had in the other version, but it's clearly more of a 3D volume now. And the hard parts are done. The rest is just going to be a bunch of cylinders and spheres for the limbs. The shoulders, 2 elongated spheres again attaching onto the torso shape. For the arm length, just keep in mind again that your character should be able to cover their private parts comfortably while standing straight. So a little past the crotch. Anyways, the upper arms are cylinders too, then a sphere for the elbow and another cylinder of equal length for the forearm. The upper legs are also going to be cylinders and the same pattern repeats. Sphere for the knees and another cylinder of equal length for the lower leg. I'll skip over the hands and the feet here again, but you can check out the video description for a class where I focus on hands and feet only. Highly recommend that you do. Anyways, her torso here is still flying though, so let's add another cylinder for the abdomen, and the construction mannequin is done. Wait, no, I'm lying. We're missing a few details to wrap this mannequin up. First, let's connect the shoulders to the torso with the clavicles in front and the scapula in the back. Here, while the back view just appeared. You'll know your scapula is probably in the right spot if they create an arrow shape with their negative space between the two. In the front, the clavicles join at the sternum. It's not super obvious from this angle, but the shape that they create seen from above is like a bike handle. Oh, and let's not forget to give her a chest too. Similar to the previous character recipe that I did a minute ago. And well. How's that for a character mannequin? Now let's wrap this up by erasing all the ball joints and closing off the silhouette lines. You could do this on a new layer to keep things clean, I guess, but I ain't gonna. What I like about this mannequin in particular is that all the volumes that I used to create it translate almost one-to-one to the actual anatomy landmarks of the body. Very roughly, of course. We just gotta erase the top of the ellipses here and we have the finished chest. The bike handles for the clavicles also remain for the most part. The joints of each limb suggest the lower end of the biceps in the front and the elbows from the back. And then for the legs, we can use those same shapes again to construct the knees and suggest in a subtle way the muscles of the leg. And then we have the corner of the pelvis volume here that represents the interior superior iliac spine, and from the back, those spheres can be used to locate the bottom curves for the glutes. Magic. The hip joints here, the gluteus medius up here, and the gluteus maximus down here. Now from the back, if I erase the parts of the triangle shape here that I drew for the scapula, I'm left with something that's pretty close to real human anatomy. 2 different mannequins, 2 different levels of complexity, but I think they both look great. And she approves. Wow, totally. And this is going to wrap up today's class. That's all the art XP point that you're getting from me this week. Let me know if it was useful and if you have any suggestions for future videos. I always read all the comments. And then if you want to try the same brush I used for this class because it's the best, you can grab it as part of my free brush set down in the video description. These are brushes that I use all the time. I love them all. Hope this helps you stay motivated and creative. And don't forget to check out my complete art education program down below if you're looking to take your art to the next level as fast as possible.
Nice body.